Hey, World Entertainment, and I hope you all had a good weekend. But unfortunately, we're here now on Monday, which means one thing and one thing only. The Acolyte drops tomorrow. Oh, good God, help us all. Yes, it's finally here. The Leslye Headland, the former personal assistant of Harvey Weinstein, her show will be dropping on Disney Plus tomorrow. Probably in the middle of the night for us over here in Ireland and the UK and whatnot. It'll probably drop at like probably 3 o'clock in the morning. But they're all out there doing their interviews, including Dave Filoni. And holy hell, are we just getting 100% confirmation that these people haven't a clue what the franchise is, was, and should be. Because they are out there saying the dumbest crap you've ever heard in your life. For instance, you have Leslye Headland herself saying flat out that if you basically do not embrace wokeness, you are not a Star Wars fan. And the way she words it is more about the representation and whatnot. Her words sound eerily familiar. Here's what she said. So she says, "As a fan myself, I know how frustrating some Star Wars storytelling in the past has been. I felt it myself." It's funny though that she doesn't elaborate on what storytelling. Is she talking about the Disney Star Wars? Is she talking about George Lucas' Star Wars? Or is she just saying what she's been told to say because she doesn't know Star Wars? But she continued and said, "I stand by my empathy for Star Wars fans." Here's the part that's very familiar. "But I want to be clear. Anyone who engages in bigotry, racism, or hate speech, I don't consider a fan." Where did we hear that from before? Oh, that's right. Ewan McGregor sitting in his car doing a little video. Almost said for word that type of stuff. But she sat down with Dave Filoni, and this is where it just got ridiculous, because you hear just how much the two of them do not understand Star Wars. So here's the clip, and then we'll talk about it.
Interested in examining were the Sith. The master-apprentice dynamic.
If the apprentice is craving the master's power, then at some point he must recruit his apprentice to overthrow the master.
Yeah.
And that is the Acolyte.
Right.
Who trained you?
You don't wake up thinking you're evil or that you're the bad guy, as explored by George and Anakin.
Yeah, I don't think Anakin ever thinks he becomes evil.
I agree,
life,
and I think
you know?
a lot of the characters in the Acolyte have to convince themselves that they are
Doing the right thing.
They're doing the right thing.
Okay, so you hear Leslye saying the idea behind the Acolyte is to show the Sith are maybe misunderstood, which we've known that's what she wants the show to be about. The bad guys are actually the good guys, because we haven't seen that done before. But what she says to explain this is, oh, the apprentice knows he wants to overthrow the master, so he has to get an apprentice to help him overthrow the master. And Dave Filoni agrees with that. No, that is not how the Sith operate or work. It is not the case of the Emperor is sitting there, he has his apprentice, and his apprentice goes and gets an apprentice to try and take him out. That's never been the case. The idea is that the master will train up the apprentice. If the apprentice can defeat the master, obviously the apprentice becomes the master, and therefore he's clearly more powerful than his master was, which means his next apprentice that he will take, if he eventually turns on the master to try and take his place to become the master, if he's more powerful than him, he'll win, and so on and so forth. Just like we heard, Darth Sidious, aka Palpatine, murdered Darth Plagueis in his sleep to take the knowledge and the power that he was handing down. The power, of course, being the immortality. But he couldn't figure it out. But once he became the Emperor, well, not even when he became the Emperor, but once he was Sidious, what does he have? He has one apprentice. It was Darth Maul. Until Darth Maul was defeated by Obi-Wan Kenobi. Then he went and got Count Dooku, whose Sith name, I can never remember what his Sith name is. But he got him. And then what happened? He got Anakin to kill Dooku. So he had the opportunity to recruit Anakin. It wasn't the case of he was going to use Dooku to try and sway Anakin to join. No, it was remove that apprentice so you'll be more stronger, more powerful, and you'll take his place. And then it'll just be us two, because the rule of two will stay in place. The fact that Dave Filoni agreed to this is ridiculous. But the other part about that is Dave Filoni talking about how Anakin never saw himself as being evil. Are you shitting me, Dave Filoni? To hear him say that is so ridiculous and unbelievable. Vader knew he was evil. He tells Luke flat out that it's too late for him. Look.
Come with me.
Obi-Wan once thought as you do. You don't know the power of the dark side. I must obey my master.
I will not turn, and you'll be forced to kill me.
If that is your destiny.
Search your feelings, Father. You can't do this. I feel the conflict within you. Let go of your hate.
It is too late for me, son.
So you see Vader there telling Luke, it's too late for me. Like, if it's your destiny to die, I'll have to kill you. He knows what he done throughout his life has been evil. He's talking about the dark side, all of that stuff. That's why on Mustafar, when he slaughters everyone, he's standing there with that tear running down his face, because he knows what he's done was wrong. He even knows when he kills Dooku it was wrong. He even says it. He beheads him and says, I shouldn't have done that. It's not the Jedi way. It was the wrong thing to do. He knows good versus evil. And even George Lucas himself spoke about this. And the irony about when Lucas spoke about this was Dave Filoni was sitting right next to him about the evil of good and bad in Star Wars. Like George Lucas said this, he says, obviously the Sith are always unhappy because they never get enough of anything they want. Mostly their selfishness centers around power and control, and the struggle is to be always able to let go of all that stuff. And that's the problem with Anakin, ultimately, is that you're allowed to love people, but you're not allowed to possess them. Now, he doesn't mean possess as in mind controllers. It means you cannot basically marry someone, you know. And he continues by saying that, and says, and what he did is that he fell in love, and then he married her, and then became jealous, and that he saw in his visions that she was going to die, and he couldn't stand losing her. So, in order to not lose her, he made a pact with the devil to be able to become all-powerful. But of course, when he did that, she didn't want to have anything to do with him anymore, so he lost her anyway. So, you wouldn't be describing Palpatine as the devil, and that you're basically selling your soul to the devil, if you weren't becoming evil. And how is a particular scene not looking at a character realizing that he's become evil when it's a scene like this?
Master Skywalker, there are too many of them. What are we going to do?
Yeah, those poor little bastards didn't make it, eh? But the little black girl did. Twice. But it continues as well, because if we all remember Charlie Barnett, yes, the donkey who at Star Wars Celebration discussed the fact that the best thing about Star Wars is there's no good and evil, and even spoke about how he thinks Darth Vader's first name was Darth. We all remember the clip of him saying such BS. It was this.
I would say a battle for power. I mean, the best parts about Star Wars is there is no good or evil. It depends on what side you're standing on, truly. You know what I mean? That you can look at any angle and see yourself relayed through all the characters, Darth to Luke. You know what I'm saying?
Well, he's at it again. Because not just does he flat out say, oh, I got heat for that statement, he then makes another statement that is completely factually wrong. And what's worse about this is he doesn't do it once, he does it twice in 2 separate interviews. What was that cock up this time? That's only that he thinks Anakin blew up the Death Star.
Hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right.
No, we can't wait a minute, because he literally thinks it was Anakin who blew up the Death Star. Have a look at him saying it in the first clip.
Well, Anakin just killed a whole Death Star. How many people died on that?
Yeah. How many people did Anakin murder on the Death Star? I don't know. But the best part about this is the second clip. Now, I'm not sure which interview he did first. I'm going to assume it's possibly the second one. The one we're about to look at. Which was an interview with Collider. And he's being interviewed by Perry Nemiroff. The reason he brings up this stupid remark is she actually asks him about, oh, when you said this at Celebration. And that's when he brings up the, oh yeah, I got some heat for that. The irony is, Perry Nemiroff used to show up on that Jedi Council on Collider. And when she hears him make this statement, she doesn't even correct him. She just goes with it. And it's like, you know this guy's about to get destroyed. And the only person who does jump in and literally tell him, you should shut up, is Daphne King. Here he is, admitting he got heat for the original comment, and then goes ahead and makes another dumbass comment.
I did get in trouble for this answer at Star Wars Con. I got heat.
Yeah.
And in my mind, it's so funny to me because it literally, as a person who's outside and just a fan coming in, that was what was so beautiful and interesting to me. You know, people have been talking to me online about how Darth Vader is such a bad person. It's very clear, and it's very well established from those actions. But if you can't look and see that Anakin blowing up the Death Star possibly killed millions and millions of people. I'm going to get in trouble for saying this right now.
You should just shut up.
Yeah, and there again, remember, it was Perry Nemiroff who brought it up to him and was like, hey, you said this stupid thing at Celebration. What did you mean by it? And then doesn't correct him when he says Anakin. Like, any one of them could have just turned and said, whoa, don't you mean Luke? And he would have probably gone, oh, was it not Anakin? Because he's dumb. The fact that no one says anything, they just let him go. To the point that he has now said it in 2 separate interviews. And again, the only one who realizes, oh, he's going to get destroyed, seems to be Daphne King, because she straight up tells him, you should shut up. Look at her reaction to him.
You should just shut up.
It's just like,
shut up. I love
that
you.
is the beauty of this story.
Yes, you absolutely should just keep your mouth shut. Because every time he opens it and says something, he just makes an absolute fool of himself, to where we're all going, these people clearly haven't a clue about anything with Star Wars. He thinks Darth Vader's first name is Darth. He thinks Anakin blew up the Death Star. He thinks there's no good and evil. So much so that Dave Filoni jumps in and says, oh yeah, Anakin didn't think he was evil, even though Anakin clearly knew he had turned to evil. And then Leslye Headland out there just talking shite as she normally does. Wow, this thing is going to be an absolute disaster. But with that, I am going to leave it there for this one, because these people aren't worth any more of our time. I'll probably check out the first 2 episodes. Oh yes, I forgot to say. Apparently, now this is a rumor, but it's from a very reliable and good source. None other than Alan Ng from Film Threat, who was sent the first 4 episodes apparently of The Acolyte, and has confirmed, again though, until we see it ourselves, we'll take it as rumour, but apparently it's either episode 3 or episode 4. The actual words are said out loud in The Acolyte that the Force is female. Oh, please God, let it be true. Oh, let it be true. Because that will be the final nail in the Star Wars coffin. But we'll check out the first 2 episodes. I'll probably review them. I don't know whether the reviews will go on beyond that. You know, unless I jump out a window or something, we'll have to wait and see. But with that, I shall leave it there for this one. So cheers, and I'll catch you in the next one.